In studio with us now is U.S. international relations expert Brooks Spector. Brooks, always good to have you with us. And this is not going to be your average run-of-the-mill dull political affair. I mean, we've got big names like Beyonce, Katy Perry, Stevie Wonder on the list performing tonight. Everyone wants to know who's dressing Michelle Obama in that fantastic ball gown she's going to wear. Just give us a sense of what it's going to be like to be in that crowd tonight.
Well, I mean, first of all, I mean, it takes place at noon Washington time. I mean, the big moment. As we said, 800,000 or so people will gather in front of the Capitol building on Long National Mall. There will be a bit of ceremonial poetry. The national anthem will be sung. I think Alicia Keys sings the anthem, so that has the crowd's attention already. President steps up. He takes the oath of office again. Did it actually on Sunday, but that was because of the Constitution. This is the big public ceremonial moment. And then he gives his inaugural address, that is a statement of what he hopes to do in leading the country and the government over the next 4 years. Then they go off to a luncheon with Congress, then they rush down Pennsylvania Avenue to get into the reviewing stand for the big parade, and it keeps on going. After the parade, then there are 2 inaugural balls, and at one of them, local favorite Lyra is singing too. And so people are paying attention to it from here, not only for the policy reasons or Michelle Obama's dress and hairstyle, but also because there's some local interest in some of the performers.
That's pretty amazing. Let's talk about the speech that you spoke about, the inaugural speech a moment ago. I mean, writers are comparing the magnitude of this one to the same one Abraham Lincoln gave 150 years ago. Just how weighty an address does it have to be to write its way into the annals of history?
Well, the comparison with Abraham Lincoln's second inaugural address is really unfair. That's, in a way, I mean, that's absolutely the gold standard for inaugural speeches, because it's short, it's to the point, it's magnanimous toward the soon-to-be defeated South in the Civil War, to bind up the nation's wounds with malice toward none, with charity to all, to take care of the widows, the orphans, and those who have fought, and to move forward. Obama's challenge is not necessarily to hit the same target that Abraham Lincoln managed to do, because that's really never been done after he did that, but to make the case for, okay, now that I have been reelected, these are the big things, all of us together, and that's going to be the key to how he addresses the country. This is not what I'm going to do. This is not what the Congress is going to do. This is what all 300 million plus of us are going to do. If he gets the tenor of it just right, that's how people are going to remember it. He's got some big things on his agenda, not the least of which is firearms regulation, perhaps even climate control issues down the way, certainly the budget, both in terms of taxing and in terms of spending. But he'll also talk to some degree about foreign policy, but there he's going to say, look, we ended these 2 wars, which were ultimately unneeded in the way we live our lives, and now that we have moved forward from that, the challenges of the future are A and B and C.
Brooke, I just want us to have a look at these pictures coming in. These are live pictures coming into us from Washington right now. Those crowds are already starting to gather. We believe there are already about 100,000 people there, another 700,000 to join that crowd, and that's going to happen in the next few hours. Lots of many hours of pomp and ceremony.
You're looking due west from the Capitol steps right now. So by the time he actually speaks, and by the time the ceremony happens, to the Washington Monument, that was that tall obelisk in the back, it will be filled with people packed really nice and snug all the way down. Some people will have chairs in the front, but everybody else is going to be standing.
And I don't think they mind too much.
No, they came there for this purpose. So they, if you stand, you stand.
That just a reminder, of course, that that inauguration officially kicks off at 7 o'clock our time this evening. So we'll certainly be bringing you coverage of that over the course of the rest of the evening. Now, Brooks, to come back to the next 4 years for Obama, and many people saying this is going to be an unconstrained time for him. He has nothing more to lose. He's had his first term already. Are we going to see big issues that you've mentioned, like immigration, like the gun laws, become priorities of his in the next few months?
Well, certainly he no longer has to worry about the next election, partly because he can't run for president again. He has to worry about the next election insofar as you have to worry about Democratic candidates for the Senate, the House, the President in 2016, and Congress, of course, in 2014. What it does mean, however, is that you no longer look over your shoulder at the next election for yourself, but you are looking forward to what is termed the legacy. The first term of office, if you happen to win two, the first term is you get a hold on the levers of power, you learn how to move the government, you identify priorities, most important, urgent, and the house is on fire kind of priorities. The second term is now you're looking toward history. What are people going to say about what you did in that next 4 years? And so it is a chance to make some bold strokes. But the challenges of things like immigration, gun regulation, these are not simply the president's to decide, and that's the challenge. You've got to bring the Congress along with you. And because it's a divided Congress, and because even where the Democrats hold a majority in the Senate, the upper house, it's a slim majority, and since there's no straight party voting in the United States, it's going to require an effort at politics, at convincing, cajoling, begging, pleading, and perhaps a little bit of or else going on. The whole key is to not try to do everything across an entire landscape, but to identify the big things you really want to see happen. And the only problem is, of course, that the world has a way of sneaking up on you and throwing other challenges. No one expected in 2007, at the beginning of the year, that the primary issue for the campaign would have been how to deal with the economy. It took a year later, of course, that was the only thing people wanted to talk about.
Brooke Spector, thanks so much for your lovely analysis on that story. Certainly a very exciting evening ahead, and do stay with eNCA for the rest of the evening as we continue to bring you coverage of that Obama inauguration.